The Gospel of John often gives a different perspective on things. Part of the reason for that is John was the last gospel put to writing. And so he often doesn't repeat what's in the other gospels, Mark, Matthew, or Luke. And sometimes John's gospel serves as a correcting element for the early church. John might make a particular point that is being misunderstood by the early converts to Christianity. And the role of John the Baptist illustrates this difference in a stark fashion. If you read John's gospel, the Baptist never baptizes. That might sound odd, but it's true. If you only read John's gospel, you would be hard-pressed to say why this man was known as the Baptist. There's no scene of hundreds of people flocking to him in the desert. There's no dramatic baptism of Jesus by John. We do have the passing reference in the gospel passage today that this happened across from the River Jordan where John was baptizing. But you never see him in the water. You never see him with the crowds. Instead, in John's gospel, he's presented more as a witness, one who testifies to the truth, one who points people to Jesus. In today's section, he says quite plainly, I am not the Christ. I am not one of these great prophets that it's come back. I'm simply one who testifies to the light. And he's the one that you really need to pay attention to. Because at times in the early church, John was lifted up as a central figure. Some would say that he was the Messiah and not Jesus. So he's downplayed in John's gospel. I recall reading once, and I hope this isn't too sacrilegious, that John the Baptist is like Ed McMahon. Remember Ed McMahon, who for 30 years would say, here's Johnny. And Johnny was the star, not Ed. And here, John the Baptist is saying, here is the Christ. He's the one. He's the star. Pay attention to him. I'm just in a minor supporting role. Well, how does this all relate to you and me as we hear this gospel on the third Sunday of Advent? One way we might relate to it is to see that we as Christians share the mission of the Baptist, that we are meant to be witnesses for Christ, that people who encounter us ought to be pointed to the Christ of whom we are a disciple. Kind of a witness might be, and where and how do we witness? For most of us, it's in ordinary settings. It's in family settings. It's in the workplace. It's in school. It's in social settings. What better Christmas present could we offer another than to offer the forgiveness and compassion of Christ? Parents could witness to their children how much they are loved, not only by them, but by God. Brothers and sisters, especially adult brothers and sisters, might find an opening to reestablish communication or to relate in a healthier, better way than they are today. In a sense, the second reading gives us a theme and tells us to rejoice in the Lord always. And maybe for the last 2 weeks of Advent, we can focus more on the good that we have and the good that we have done and do, rather than on our ever-present challenges and difficulties. Rejoice, not in the sense of laughing and celebrating, but a deeper sense of rejoicing in the fact that God so loves the world that he has sent us his only begotten Son to save us.